Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. We're both in pajamas.
We are, because we've adventured.
We've adventured. We've adventured. My plane came in last night. It was supposed to be earlier, but it was a little delayed. And then suitcases were delayed a good half hour. And then it took a while to get to the parking. But you know what? First world problems. We got
True.
here safely, and it's all good. Couldn't sleep in because, you get a little bit of time change. But and also just regular, your regular insomnia, or my regular insomnia. So
My regular insomnia, our regular insomnia.
so you've been sleep deprived too.
Oh, yeah. I didn't sleep at all the entire time.
But you know what? We're not going to put you listeners to sleep. We'll be right back. So back from a trip to Toronto, my hometown. It was kind of
Wow.
amazing. I got to go with my wife and my daughter, and I got to meet up with my sister and her youngest daughter. And we went over, and today we're actually recording on Canadian Thanksgiving Day. We went over to Prince Edward County and got to have Thanksgiving with them. They had we were invited to a family meal. It's so wonderful because when you go to a cousin's house who's got one of 6 kids, it's instant hello family and extended family and bits and pieces and there's kids and no kids, and it was all wonderful. And to be in a place that's so magical and wonderful out in the woods, it was
Oh.
astounding. It was astounding. So
So
Toronto,
it's not in the middle of a city. You
no,
were actually.
which would have been wonderful
Oh.
too, but it's just gorgeous. And then fall leaves are just starting there. Weather was fantastic. We had a little bit of sprinkles, but it's like they needed water. They're in a drought. We need water. We understand
Mhm.
that thing, and it's like that wasn't really rain, but we'll take it, and it was really very cool. And then, of course, one of the things we were going to do was to say goodbye to my folks. We had a small portion of ashes that we were going to disperse somewhere. We had said Niagara Falls because Mom was from Buffalo, Dad was from Toronto. My
Oh, what
mother,
a perfect.
if you don't remember, my mother passed away this summer, and my dad the previous summer. So this was going to be like kind of a
The fusion.
yeah, and so that was interesting. We arrived. Okay, first of all, let me ask you: have you ever been to Niagara Falls?
Yes, on my honeymoon.
Oh gosh, we keep coming back to this thing.
I know. I
What do
was
you
haunted on my trip
What do you
too,
remember from
because
that?
I'll tell you, it was amazing. The falls. We, of course, stayed at the slimiest motel. And then we walk over to the Canadian side, and I almost wanted to break down crying because it's so dramatically more beautiful on the Canadian
hmm
side. It was totally different country, gorgeous. And then I go back to the American side, and it was such a depressed. I'm sure it was nice at its time, but it was terrible. Now, I don't know if it's changed. It's been 30 years later. So that's what I can tell you.
Okay, and what was your impression of the falls itself?
Stunning. Absolutely. I thought it was worth seeing.
Yeah. Would you go back?
I loved it. Yeah, I would.
Why the laughter?
Um, there's so much I could have enjoyed had I chosen differently in my partner.
Okay. So what would you do differently going back to visit
I would
Niagara
have
Falls?
stayed in a nice place that didn't have burned cigarette holes in the carpeting and a hole around the air conditioning unit and a bathroom window that was stuck open. So when you went to the bathroom, everybody could see in.
It's so hilarious you remember details like this.
Yes, because it scarred me, and this is my honeymoon.
Okay, so I'm wondering if you guys shouldn't have just, if you were up for like a
Annulled it.
camping trip.
Oh, sorry,
if
wrong direction. What
if
were you gonna
if
say?
you were up for a camping trip kind of honeymoon, that's a real different thing than having a special, thing. Maybe, so as a young person going out and exploring and seeing everything and you don't have a history of, money and savings and all that stuff, you're going to go on the cheap, right?
We
So,
did. We brought our tent and camping gear.
wow. And so,
Hmm.
I mean, you kind of that was your thing. We
Hmm.
we settle a lot more for that. For us on this trip, we were lucky. We decided we'd already heard. I had heard a lot about Niagara on the Lake growing up,
Oh,
and I had this idea of what it was like based on family memories and people had cabins on. So I'm thinking very rustic, very mountain like cabins.
uh-huh.
But they call them cottages, and so if a cottage really it's a house. It's
Uh-huh.
a house, and back of course back east everyone's got basements and stuff, so that's got its own fun thing, especially as a
True.
kid. But even now it's like, oh my gosh, to go down in the basement, it's kind of a cool thing. And but their cottages, what I learned that their cottages are called cottages, not houses, because they may
Because?
not be winterized. So if it's a cottage, it may or may not be winterized. And
Ah,
so there you go. Okay. I
I
didn't
love learning a new thing. So you stayed on a cottage by the Niagara Lake?
Well, it's called Niagara on the Lake is the town, and so it's a peninsula that
Okay.
comes around, goes around Lake Ontario, and so it's right opposite Toronto, and just up the way to the little bit more to the west is St. Catharines. My parents lived there when they were first married. They lived in St.
Wow.
Catharines too. They moved a lot of places, but to be in this little town, it's very cute, nostalgic, kind of old fashioned feeling, and yet there's like, modern, everything too. We stayed at a nice Airbnb, and uh it was in a neighborhood, and so you're reminded to be told, be quiet, it's a
Of
neighborhood, it's residential, and like we're the perfect people for doing that. We're not going to have a big
course.
party or anything, but just to find your spaces, and then the trees are changing colors, the leaves are in the street. Yeah, so we ended up going to uh, Niagara Falls that evening that we had arrived in Niagara on the Lake. And,
Oh, that evening.
well, yeah, because I wanted to see the Niagara Falls lit up at night because that's a new thing.
Yeah.
Well, new. I don't know how long they've been doing that, but new for me. And,
At least 30 years.
well, for
Because I
me,
saw it at night too.
yeah. Did you see it at night with lights?
Hmm.
What kind of lights did they have?
I can't remember. This is going back 30 years, but I just remember gold is standing out in my mind for sure. But yeah, I remember because my ex was trying to take pictures and he was way into the f-stops and all the things that came with a traditional camera. And
You remember
I'm
all
not a
that.
photographer.
You're so funny how you remember all this stuff. This is great. No, so anyhow, I wanted to, I don't recall ever seeing Niagara Falls at night. So it was really cool. We drove by and it was hard finding parking. We finally did. And then of
Oh.
course we had the saga of you've got, uh, you've got women in the car that need to go pee all the time. And that was an
Mm.
interesting saga, trying to find a restroom and, all those things. So anyhow, we saw we saw the fall. And then you were wondering, we even made jokes. The falls are making all this noise. Is that making you want to go pee? Yeah.
Oh, so true.
But we went down, saw the falls. They're beautiful. It's so cool because it's got rainbow colors. A lot of it is they have the rainbow going across, like the American Falls, and then in the Horseshoe Falls, the Horseshoe Falls wrap around, and just it's astounding. Um, and it's like, well, why rainbows? It's not pride, but because it's the rainbow, it's
Of
because
the
all this
world.
water, it makes rainbows all the time. The water, the sun, when it's
Of
reflecting on the
course.
water, makes these beautiful rainbows. The Rainbow Bridge is the one that connects the United States to Canada, or Canada to the United States, and
Yeah, right.
yeah, so it's all, and it feels very inviting and wonderful in that respect.
Oh.
Um, at night though, the two our two kids, our two daughters, who are not children, but they're younger. They're like, "Oh, that's just gorgeous. It's pretty," but not with that same awe that you feel, I think, when you first see the Niagara Falls. And I think it's because it's at night. Even with the lighting, you don't get the same sense of how huge and powerful the falls are. And
Yeah,
so,
it's a different experience
yeah.
at night versus the day. Right.
And then we have those family pictures of us in on the Maid of the Mist, which of course now they don't have the Maid of the Mist on
Oh.
the Canada side. It goes by a different name,
Mm.
and but they have to advertise it as previously known as Maid of the Mist, and yeah. So for those of you who don't know, it is as you described, more interesting to see it from the Canadian side because you can see the falls. There's an American falls that are on the American side, and so you really can't see them unless you're opposite them to see it, right? And then there's this cool area on the American falls that you can walk down in your raincoats and stand next to it. I've never done that. That if I were to go back, I would probably do that. And then it leads to the Horseshoe Falls, which are part American, part Canadian. It crosses a boundary, and it's part just international waters, I guess they call it. But yeah, to see it during the day, even again from the previous night, and even from my memories of childhood, which everything's bigger when you're a kid, is just
Yes.
amazing, just astounding. The power and the might and how it keeps coming. It doesn't stop. It's like then you feel like a kid because you're asking all these questions. Where does this water come from? Why does it keep
Right.
pouring? Why is it so strong? What can you imagine? My sister said this, and it was fun because it was the same thing I was thinking again, because I remember thinking it as a kid. You know, what can you imagine being among the first of the people that that came
Found
across
it.
this,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't say
Hopefully
discover.
not in a
I
book.
wouldn't say discovered. You got out of you hear some sound. Normally, you scout the river in front of you, or you hear a sound, or there's a change in the way the current. You understand that, so you get out and you send someone up ahead to scout, right? And to come back and say, "Hey guys, look what I've." You're not going to believe what's up ahead, and they probably wouldn't
Right.
believe you because there's nothing else like it around. Um, just astounding. So putting yourself back into that time period of being among the first people, and that's such an honorable and appropriate thing, and to take yourself out of the moment of now with all our technology and all our stuff and being on the phones and taking pictures and just kind of put yourself
The
back in that
awe of
time.
just the
Yes.
feature itself. I
Yeah.
agree.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you realize just how small you are, such a dot in this world,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? I think it's a very humbling experience.
And that ties directly to why we were there to begin with,
Right.
the essence of returning to the earth and honoring the people that came before you and all that. That's pretty
But I'm just
profound.
looking at your mom and dad, and it's the fusion again of the two countries. It's the fusion of these two people that came together on opposite sides that created you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a beautiful, you couldn't have done better, Sue.
It's
I
a
think
great
that's
metaphor.
just the perfect thing. Huh?
Yeah, it's a metaphor and living the metaphor and living
It
the
is.
sacredness, the connection to the place, to the terroir, to the land, and yeah, very cool.
I just wanted to point out the middle section of time. Like you're talking about the first people to discover it. I'm talking before we had lights. How about those people that thought it was an interesting idea to fall down that fall in a barrel?
Oh, that's funny
Like,
that you brought this up. Okay.
so was that what you were going to do?
Yeah,
I can't get over the whole barrel thing. It scarred me. And I remember even in teaching, we went to the library and that was one of the books that was read as somebody that survived the barrel fall. And I'm thinking, how do you stand there and look at this beautiful, powerful, death defying thing and decide, like, hey, I want to go down in a barrel when I'm like so grateful to be on a bridge with sturdy rails, solid rails. I don't understand it. So I'm wondering if you can help me understand why anybody would think of doing such a thing.
Well, it is interesting because that's another one of the classic things that come up, I think, to everyone who goes there. Because, and I remember as a kid, we're talking a little kid being told that someone did this. Someone got in a barrel and they went over the falls, and it was a thing. Other people of doing it. And thinking, this is strange, this is so weird. In fact, we have a family lore that when my parents lived in Niagara Falls, they had my brother. My brother was born, and he was born in Niagara Falls. And the joke was, my mom was in a barrel. She had my brother being born in Niagara Falls, and so that was our family lore, our joke that we would do. And it was like, how is that even something you mention to children? I mean, because you don't want to encourage that kind of behavior. But you're referring to Annie Edson Taylor, who was a 63-year-old woman. This is back in 1901. She fashioned a barrel, got in it, went over, and survived. Okay, so first of all, 63 years old.
Right, not a spring chicken.
It's my age,
right?
And she's going over. This is during a time when life. Imagine what life was like for women. This is around the Industrial Revolution time.
Right.
She was driven by desperation, essentially. If you read the book, what I think the one you're referring to is called "Barreling Over Niagara Falls" by I don't know. Look it up. But anyhow, that's the one that kids read, and it kind of gives you the reason why. So she was desperate. She had no money. She was going to be in a poorhouse. She had no options. And she's like, well, I'm going to do this thing. She had to have a daredevil in her. She had to have a massive, interest in pushing boundaries because otherwise, to even do the promotion to do it, you have to be up and excited about it. You can't just go, okay, I'll go in a barrel and go over there. Because, so you're looking for fame, which is going to bring you fortune. And it's part of the stunt culture. If you think about it, like Niagara Falls has got massive stunts around it. The barrels, the tightrope.
Isn't there tightrope? Yeah.
Yes. And people go over in different makeshift things, and some of them survive, some of them die. There's a lot of bodies or bones down there.
Yep.
But the irony is, she lives in our lore. She lives in the stories of my childhood, and to each person that goes there, they think about it, right? So she's still alive.
That's true. She's still living on.
She has that fame, but she died penniless. And
did she really?
She did. And I guess the people of that time found out about her death, and they did pay for her burial and so forth. So that's good. But it's like, do you honor and respect this person?
Did she squander her fortune? I think I need to reread the children's book.
I don't think we all do. So let's go to it. But it's the stunt culture of that time and around that feature, but we still have that today. Why do people do this shit? I mean, you think about
Evel Knievel. Yes. He was big during our time.
And again, we're talking, that's a whole different kind of stunt. Our kids are doing these TikTok challenges and stuff. A lot of them are life-threatening and dangerous and scary, and it is a thing. There's this stunt culture that we as human beings, we dig it for whatever reason,
Well, a segment of the population, not I.
And but it's out there and people know about it, and
you're right.
and it goes on. It's like, wouldn't we have learned from people's mistakes and the stupidities? So I don't know. It's an interesting thing to talk about. I mean, stunt culture.
Yeah, I still can't get over Anne, right? Anne?
Yeah, Annie Edson
I'm really
Taylor.
sad that Annie ended up dying, and now I think it's kind of coming back to me now that it's processing, but I'm just so sad that she ended up maybe getting some fame, definitely, but did she get the fortune or did she squander the fortune? That's what I have to know. Like, Annie.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that for another thing, but she does live on. I mean, not everyone knows her name, but they know of her accomplishment, and
I
And
just wish that she could have had a
other
comfy
options.
ending while still living on.
And I would say other options. However, if she was a daredevil, if that was her nature for real, then there were going to be things. I'm sure she did a lot of daring things in her life, and there are people who people do a lot of daring things, and what's daring to one person maybe is not to another.
Correct.
And so,
Like some people feel, Sue, I
yeah,
don't know about you, when they talk about, I've asked people to come on to our podcast and they're terrified. Like
yeah,
they're as terrified of coming onto this as we would be terrified going in a barrel down Niagara Falls. Like,
yeah.
I don't get it. Right. You're
Well,
right. So everybody's different.
and here's what I'll say. I mean, I am not going to waste my life to go in a barrel down Niagara Falls, but if I were in a situation where it was desperate like that, I could see
Mm.
myself doing that. I could see myself doing that, especially at this age, because it's like, what else is? I mean, I might as well go out well. I might as well go out big, you know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't. I have a little bit of daredevil in me, but I'm not going to also squander it for no reason. There's got to be a reason, a compelling reason for me. We were
Well,
there. We were
yeah,
there, and there
go.
was this balloon. They have this giant balloon and a like a cart underneath it, like a carriage, and it's tethered to something. And my sister goes, "Would you do that?" I'm like, "Sure, I'd do that. That'd be fine." Then they had a zip line thing, but that was on the American
Wow.
side, so I wasn't going to do it. Then on the Canadian side, they had a zip line thing, and she goes, "Oh, would you do that?" I'm like, "Sure, that'd be fun." And she's like, "What?" So but I said the zip line looks kind of lame. It's like you
Does
just
it
go.
go over the falls?
It kind of goes parallel to the side of the falls. So it's kind of lame to me. It's like I want more. If I'm going to do that, spend money on it, I want more for that. You go off this
Yeah.
tower and you go kind of parallel to the side of it, and it's like that's not worth it.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
No.
yeah. So but we did
Yeah.
enjoy the Maid of the Mist, and it was so fun taking the two kids, our daughters on as well. I have these pictures in my mind of the pictures that we took as kids, and it was neat to be there. And that vantage point to be
Oh.
on that boat. Did you get to do the boat?
Yeah,
Yeah, to be at that vantage point, you really experience it a whole different way,
you
and it's
do.
so exciting. Oh,
Safely.
yeah, safely, and and that's it. You wonder how many boats have been pulled in, sucked in under the. No,
Mhm.
nothing. Yeah, so it was really cool, just amazing. Okay, fast facts about Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
so Niagara Falls means thundering noise.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was talking to our
Based on what language?
Iroquoian language.
Oh,
Now, if I were to attempt to try to even say it, I'm going to butcher it. But the missionaries anglicized the word, and so
yeah.
something that sounds like Niagara, or Niagara,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like, yeah, I'm not going to even try because I don't want to do that. Um, the other thing that calls me with quick facts is this is something my dad would have loved, tell you all about because he did when he lived there. This is one of his first jobs was to work on the Canadian hydroelectric, and they changed the voltage of along the line so that people could receive the power in their in their homes and in their factories. I mean, there's huge industry all along that
So
area
your
because of
dad
that.
had a part of the very thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is another level of what an appropriate place to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good job.
So they say every second, nearly 700,000 gallons flows over Niagara Falls. Um, and then, you can't even perceive of that. Uh, it's supplied by the Great Lakes, 12,000-year-old Great Lakes, which are beautiful lakes. I mean, they're amazing. Um, the other thing that they said that we were noticing is like, why are these gulls down in the water? What are they doing down in on the water and in the air, flying around in there? It's like, what? Why would they do that? But
Great
apparently that
fishing.
is, pardon?
Great fishing.
Well, yeah, that would be upstream though, and they're not going to pluck it out
Yeah.
of the Niagara Fall. They would fall down too and be smashed, right? But apparently this is where a place where they winter. So
Oh,
they're safe from predators, perhaps. We're talking about, but um, all the nutrients get dug up when you go over the falls. It's gonna and move a lot of nutrients, and so there's all kinds of nutrients in the air and the water, and the animals are going to take advantage of that. So that was interesting. Do fish go? This is one of the questions I have. Do fish go
oh, that's a
over?
really good
Do
question.
fish go over the falls and do they survive? Well, I mean, there's going to be fish in those rivers, right?
I'm going to say no. They have instinct how far they can go before they don't.
Well,
So no.
I'll bet you some of them do that, but apparently, yeah, fish do survive. They go
Oh,
over and
they do go over
yeah, they
and
do go
survive
over
it.
and they say that um
They ain't going back up.
no, they're not going back up to spawn or anything else. White foam formed at the bottom is packed with nutrients, provides necessary cushion for the fish flowing down. Nearly 90% of
Mm,
the fish traveling down the falls survive, they say. So,
wow.
yeah, that's kind of bizarro, right?
I was just thinking if I were a gull, I would probably be 100 yards away. And so I would just eat the dead fish that are freshly dead.
Right. I'm sure there's some of them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was cool because when we were over in Prince Edward County visiting the cousins, we stopped along the way at a fish ladder, and the salmon were. Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm just thinking about, I know it's not, but I was thinking, oh, what a size ladder that would be. Anyway, go ahead.
No,
I know they
we have a
don't. I know.
wonderful fish ladder here in
You do.
Sacramento, and
Sacramento.
the
Mhm.
the salmon come up river, and you can see them going up, and
It's
they're
so
they
fun to watch.
yeah, and it's a lot
Oh,
of
it's season now, isn't it?
yes, yes, and so we went there, and again, I don't think my sister or her daughter had ever seen anything like this, but to see so many salmon teeming and then trying to get up that river where there's a dam, like, oh God, poor fish. They have one little tiny window where they can jump in, and then they pull them out and they measure them and they study them, tag them maybe, or take some out and remove their eggs, and then they place them in a tube up on the upper part of the bank so they can get up there and spawn. And that was cool seeing that, and it was perfectly the right season, but that was kind of neat to see. So that was the fish stuff. But the other last fact I want to share is about the hydroelectric. Um, so 57 meters is the highest point of the Niagara Falls, and the water flowing down, of course, has all this power, massive power, thundering power. It's used by American and Canadian companies to generate electricity. So they say that, according to an estimate, Niagara Falls reserves the capability of producing over 4 million kilowatts of electricity, about one fourth of the electricity needs of New York State and the Canadian
Of
province
the
of Ontario.
state.
Say, yeah, so one fourth of
The entire
electricity, state
state.
of New York and the entire province of Ontario. Uh, one quarter hydroelectric. So it's that important, which makes me so
Wow.
proud that my dad
Yes, was
participated
a
in
part of that.
that. Yeah, it was very touching. But anyhow, so just to fill you in, we had gone to the Niagara Falls, and we saw there were a lot of people there, not overcrowded, but there were a lot of people there, a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of there wasn't space, and there wasn't the
Oh.
same calm. So we decided that wasn't going to be the place. But we decided
Oh.
on another, and it was beautiful. And perhaps we'll share it someday with you. But, well, certainly with you, Tina, but you, the listeners, will maybe share that. But it's on Facebook. I make videos, and there we go. So, but anyhow, um, yeah, it was very nice. So it was so cool that we decided, yeah, I'm feeling the vibe of he being here and all the memories and all that stuff and sharing it with our kids and then at the same time going, yeah, this is not exactly the right place or moment. So, and then it appeared. It was amazing. The experience appeared, and
Oh,
it
Sue,
was
this
very
is a
nice.
story to share.
Yeah, well, we're already We did Niagara Falls in this episode. We're good for today. To be continued then, okay?
Exactly. That feels better.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus signs to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane for sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.